Hey folks, I just wanted to create a quick conversation video centered around the new Adeptus Titanicus weapons released in the new Legions Imperialis box set from Games Workshop. So, as most of you are probably aware, Games Workshop has recently released a new game called Legions Imperialis. It is kind of an updated version of the beloved epic scale franchise of Space Marine, Titanicus, and Epic 40K of yesteryear. This time it's set in the Horus Heresy, and as part of that box set, you get two Warhounds, and they came with a bunch of weapons that were formerly in only in resin in Forge World, that being the Natrix Shock Lance and the Ursus Claw and the Volkite Eradicator, I think it is. I don't remember. You'll correct me in the comments here. But a Volkite gun, all guns for Warhound Scale Titans. But a few new weapons came out in plastics with a kind of an auxiliary plastic sprue for Warhounds, and those are a couple different missile launchers and a Melta Gun for the Warhound. And I wanted to kind of maybe talk about a little bit like these weapons now, and coming into the game. And just today, or I guess a day or two ago, now that you're going to be watching this, um, the AT weapon cards were provided by Games Workshop and posted to a Warcom community. And here you can see, here's some of the new cards. So the Volkite, the Natrix Shock Lance, and the Ursus Claw, I believe, are unchanged from before. Same weapon, it just happens to be in plastic, same rules, etc., etc. These new weapons have these new cards, and they honestly they look pretty good. So I was like, as this is kind of new content for AT, so I thought we could have a little conversation. What surprised you about this? What excites you about this? What does this shake up any of the meta for Warhounds? Does it shake up how you might load out your Warhounds? And I thought maybe I'd give my thoughts on these weapons, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on these weapons as well. So let's just dive right in. So the first weapon on the screen here from left to right is a Incisor. Am I pronouncing that right? Incisor. I don't know. It looks like a canine tooth. That's what we're going to go with it. Incisor pattern Melta Lance. So it's a short range of 6 inches, long range 10 inches, -1 on the long range, 2 dice and strength 9, and fusion. So that means at short range, your old armor impact on a D10 as opposed to a D6. I think this one is good. I think it's going to suffer maybe a little bit from an incredibly short range. That being said, I think if you get up under the shields or if you're within short range, um, and particularly like if you're inside or back arc, which is what you should probably be doing with Warhounds anyways, this is going to be particularly devastating. I think it's good. I think 25 points is fair. It might be a touch on the expensive side. I might get some heat on that. I'd have to compare that to the Graviton and the conversion beamer in effectiveness. But I think in short range, rolling 2 dice I think is great as opposed to the Graviton gun. I just cannot get over the Graviton gun being 1 dice on a Warhound. I think that makes that gun pretty ineffective in my humble opinion. But I think 2 dice on this is nice. It is rather short range, and I think it is either fairly or slightly overcosted. But I think this might make it into some list just based on it is very high strength for a Warhound gun, and you're mitigating some of the chances of missing with 2 dice. So I think that's fantastic. The next one on this list is called the Swarmer Missile. So that's 10 points. It is short range of 12 at -1 and long range of 40 inches with no range penalty. It's 5 dice with strength 4. So on the dice and kind of on the dice profile at least, and even on the range profiles, it does remind you a lot of APOC missiles, either on a Reaver or on a Warlord. Of course, it's going to be smaller number of missiles than the Warlord because there's 2 of them on a Warlord. But I think that the dice and the strength does not surprise me. I think it was destined to be patterned after the APOC missile launcher from a Reaver. The range is a little bit shorter, which is fine, which I think it makes sense, and it follows the pattern of maybe a little bit harder to hit at short range because the missiles still need a little bit of time to lock on. Longer range has no penalty. The thing that jumps out to me on this one, there's two things that jump out to me on this one that make it a fantastic choice. One, look at the traits. Rapid. That means you're getting double hits, or you're getting an additional hit on each six. That is fantastic. So that actually kind of puts it on par, and kind of in competition with the Vulcan Mega Bolter, which makes this is like a really nice long range capable shield stripper, um, that complements a Vulcan Mega Bolter at shorter range. So I think that that rapid mitigates the fewer number of dice versus the Mega Bolter, and the range just makes it really nice. 40-inch range. You can kind of hang back and lob missiles from a distance with a Warhound, which you don't normally think of a Warhound doing. It's also 10 points, so that is on par with the price or the points cost for a Vulcan Mega Bolter on a Warhound. Um, I think this has got plenty of game. I think we're going to see this in lists. I could see this on Warhounds, like in a Regia list, where you've got the king and the queen, and the Warhounds can share shields within 3 inches of either the king or the queen. I could see Warhounds armed with two of these each, dropping lots and lots of missiles, um, getting lots and lots of hits, stripping a lot of shields, and then the warlords having the more armor cracking guns and kind of ruining targets after the Warhounds have stripped all the shields. And the Warhounds are relatively protected, kind of hanging in the back. They've got the ranged sort of lob missiles. They don't have to get close and kind of make themselves exposed. So I think this is fantastic. The thing, regardless of the points or the effectiveness or like the game mechanics or whatnot, the thing that I like about this the most is it's a fluffy choice. It's been in Epic before. It is a choice that is going to make people think about maybe not taking the standard Warhound Plasma Vulcan Mega Bolter or dual Vulcan Mega Bolter layout on their Warhounds. Anything that kind of changes up the game and gives you choices as opposed to auto includes, I think is fantastic. So this Warhound arm, I think is going to be great. I love it. The next Warhound arm and the last one, and then I want to hear from you all, is the Shudder Missiles. So again, it's a missile launcher, short range of 12, long range 40, no accuracy changes on either of the range bands, 2 dice, strength 6, barrage, and quake. So I think this is very interesting as well. It's 20 points, so it's a little bit more. It's got a little bit higher strength. I don't think it's higher strength enough to warrant being a competitor for like serious armor breaking. Um, but having 2 dice is nice. That mitigates kind of that graviton gun of 1 dice, and it's either all or nothing. So I think that's good. Barrage is nice, where you can kind of arc missiles, without necessarily having direct line of sight. Quake is pretty cool. I think you actually have to do. I forget the rule on Quake. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to do actual damage in order for it to quake something. So I guess this one looks interesting. I need to see it on the field. At 20 points, it's certainly more expensive than some of the other cheaper options. Um, I think it's certainly interesting. I haven't really fully figured out what I'm going to do with Shudder Missiles, like what scenarios I'm going to play with those. Again, because the Quake, the strength is a little bit lower, so maybe it helps with quaking other Warhounds. I'm not sure. The number of dice with that number of strength, I don't know how that's going to be. The balance between the number of dice and the strength, I don't know how effective that's going to be. Um, I guess I'm looking at this one. I think the barrage is nice. I don't. I'm struggling to understand, or I'm struggling to think of the use case for me in which I would use this effectively. So I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts or your comments on the Shudder Missiles. So those are the new weapons. I think it's fantastic that we're kind of getting some cross-pollination between Legions Imperialis and AT. I think I'm very excited for these weapons and seeing what they're going to do to list building in games in the future. So give me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like, how would you use these weapons? What loadouts, what mana pools, what scenarios would you use these weapons and why? And do they supplant some of the standard templates or some of the standard loadouts that you are using on your Warhounds? Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.